It was supposed to be perfect. My birthday. An evening wrapped in soft candlelight, warm laughter, and the gentle hum of a playlist my husband curated with suspiciously careful attention. A night crafted for me, or at least that's what I believed when I walked into our dining room and saw the table set more beautifully than it ever had been in our 5 years of marriage. The centerpiece was my favorite, a tall, deep red bottle of Merlot from a vineyard we visited on our honeymoon. The kind of wine that held memories, sun-drenched afternoons, stolen kisses under grapevines, promises made in whispers. I felt touched that he remembered. I felt loved, until the moment I took the first breath over the rim of my glass. Something was wrong. It wasn't obvious at first, just a faint, unsettling note woven beneath the familiar aroma of cherries and oak. A sharpness that didn't belong. I swirled the glass gently, pretending to admire its legs. But in truth, I was trying to understand the scent that felt almost metallic. My husband noticed my hesitation. He always noticed things. "Everything okay?" he asked from across the table. His smile stretched just a little too tight, like fabric pulled at both ends. I forced a smile. "Yeah, just appreciating it." He raised his own glass to his lips, confidently, proudly, and that, more than anything, made my stomach twist. Because he wasn't smelling it. He wasn't testing it. He was too eager, too rehearsed. I lowered my glass and leaned forward. "Switch with me," I said lightly, letting out a playful laugh. "Let's see if you picked the better pour." For a split second, barely long enough to register, his face froze. A flicker in his eyes, a flash of panic. Then he chuckled, maybe too loudly, and pushed his glass toward me. Sure, why not? But the moment his fingers released the stem, there was something, an energy, a hesitation, like he wanted to stop himself but couldn't. We switched glasses. He watched me. And as I brought his glass toward my face, my heart thudded like a warning drum. Instinct sharpened everything. The sound of the clock ticking, the flicker of candles, the faint tremble in my husband's hand as he reached for the second glass. I inhaled. His glass smelled normal. Perfect even, warm, fruity, rich, the nostalgic scent that should have been in mine. I set it down slowly, deliberately. "This one smells better," I said, trying to sound casual. He nodded too quickly. Maybe it just breathed more. I didn't respond right away. My throat felt tight. Because now I knew it wasn't in my head. There was a difference, a deliberate difference. Something had been done to my glass. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. My husband lifted the glass that used to be mine, the one with the strange scent, and held it up like he was about to toast. But I saw it, the momentary pause. He hesitated, just for a breath, before masking it with another smile. "What should we toast to?" he asked. I managed to whisper, "To truth." He laughed, but it cracked around the edges. As he brought the glass to his lips, I watched him with a stillness I didn't know I possessed. Every movement, every twitch of his eyes, every swallow of his throat felt amplified. And in that single moment, my entire world narrowed to one thought. What was he trying to make me drink? The candles flickered, casting long shadows on the walls, shadows that seemed to stretch toward us, listening, waiting. He took a small sip. Too small, a test sip. A cautious sip. Then he set the glass down, far from him. I felt the hair rise on my arms. "Not good?" I asked quietly. He bristled. "No, it's fine. Just stronger than I remember." A lie, I felt it. The room changed then. Not physically, but something shifted in the space between us. A coldness seeped in, winding around my spine. Suddenly, I was aware of things I had ignored for months. The secretive messages, the late-night drives, the way he flinched when I touched his phone, the sudden kindnesses that arrived at odd moments. All of them converged into a single terrifying possibility. I watched him carefully. "Can you smell it? Anything strange?" He shook his head too quickly. "No, nothing," his voice cracked. And in that crack, I heard everything. The truth wasn't uncorked yet, but it was leaking, drop by drop. My birthday had always been a celebration of life, but tonight, for the first time, I felt the chilling brush of danger. And as the candles burned lower, I realized something with perfect icy clarity. Whatever was wrong with that wine, my husband already knew. The silence stretched between us like an invisible thread pulled too tight. One slip and it would snap. My husband shifted in his seat, pretending to adjust the napkin on his lap, but his fingers trembled. I saw it, I felt it. "So," he began, voice coated in false ease, "did you like the surprise?" Surprise. The word felt heavy now, sour on my tongue. I traced the rim of the glass he had tried to give me, the one that still carried that faint metallic scent. Every instinct screamed at me to put distance between it and myself, yet I held the stem delicately, almost reverently, like evidence. "I did," I said. "It must have taken you a long time to plan." His eyes flicked up to mine. There it was again, a flicker, a moment where guilt elbowed its way through his expression before he smoothed it out with calculated charm. "You deserve it," he said. "You've been through a lot lately." The words hung in the air. Lately, meaning the last few months since things had shifted between us, since the sudden distance, since his unpredictable mood swings, since our conversations had begun circling around trivialities instead of sinking into the intimacy we once shared. I leaned in slightly. "What exactly have I been through?" He blinked, caught off guard. "You know, work stress, everything." "You've seemed tired," he smiled too reassuringly. "I just wanted to do something nice." His attempt at normalcy was almost convincing. Almost. The table felt colder. The candles sputtered as though reacting to the tension settling between us. I reached for the bottle, acting casual, and read the label. The same vineyard, the same year, the same wine we had both loved for years. But something about it felt staged, selected too perfectly. He watched me with an intensity that prickled the back of my neck. "I remember the last time we drank this," I said softly. "Do you?" He froze for a fraction of a second. "Of course I do. Our anniversary." He nodded, his throat tightened visibly. "We talked for hours that night. About the future, about the life we wanted." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink into the silence between us. "Things feel different now, don't they?" He dropped his gaze. "People change, life changes." I studied him. Did we change? Or did something happen that you haven't told me? His jaw clenched. "Why are you asking me that tonight of all nights?" "Because tonight feels like the right time," I said, gripping the stem of the wine glass he had switched with me. "Because something is wrong and I can feel it." He looked away, leaning back in his chair. "You're overthinking. You always do that when you're tired." Dismissive, a classic deflection. I swirled the liquid in the glass he'd intended for me. The metallic sharpness hadn't faded, and every second the scent curled upward, the more certain I became. "Taste it," I said quietly. His eyes snapped to mine. "What?" "Taste the wine you poured for me." For a moment, everything was still. Even the candle flames froze mid-flicker, as if the universe leaned in to listen. A nervous exhale escaped him. "I already tried it. You saw me." "You took a sip," I corrected. "A very small one. If everything is fine, drink it properly." His Adam's apple bobbed. "Why does it matter?" he whispered. I set the glass down gently. "Because something is wrong with it, and you know it." The crack in his composure widened. He looked down at his hands, hands that once held mine with such certainty, and now they trembled with something far darker. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost broken. "I didn't want tonight to go like this." A chill crawled over my skin. "Then how was it supposed to go?" He opened his mouth, but words failed him. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling shakily. I made a mistake, okay? I thought it wouldn't matter, but now—" "A mistake?" I repeated. "Explain what kind of mistake ends up in a glass I was supposed to drink." His head snapped up. Fear flashed in his eyes, not fear of me, but fear for himself. And suddenly, everything aligned. The calls he took outside, the nights he came home smelling of stress and someone else's perfume, the secretive way he guarded his phone. The abrupt kindness, the sudden gifts, the overcompensation. Guilt had been eating him alive, and tonight it had come to the surface. He leaned forward suddenly, voice urgent. "Let's just forget it for tonight, please. Can we not turn this into something ugly?" I stared at him, slow shock settling in like cold fog. "You think this isn't already ugly?" His chair squeaked as he shot to his feet. "I'm trying to fix things. I'm trying—" "By giving me that?" I gestured sharply to the glass. He froze, and that was the moment. The moment truth hovered in the air, begging to be spoken. But instead he stepped back, one step, then another, as if distance could hide guilt. "I don't want to fight," he whispered. I rose slowly from my chair, the wooden legs scraping the floor like a warning. Then tell me, I said. What were you trying to make me drink? His breath hitched. It wasn't supposed to hurt you, he murmured. A hollow ache formed in my chest, but it wasn't supposed to help me either, was it? His silence was the loudest confession of all. The candle flames guttered again, casting shadows across his face, shadows that twisted into shapes I didn't recognize. For the first time in 5 years, I saw not the man I loved, but the man who was hiding something dangerous. And the real truth? It wasn't in the wine. It was in him. The room felt colder now, as though the truth itself had reached out and snuffed the warmth from the candles. My husband stood rigidly across from me, arms tense at his sides, eyes darting anywhere but toward the glass he'd tried to give me. The stillness between us was no longer silence. It was a storm gathering itself. I folded my arms slowly. "Sit down," I said. He didn't move. "Sit. Down." Something in my voice, something unfamiliar, something hardened, made him obey. He lowered himself onto his chair like a man preparing for judgment. "Start from the beginning," I said, "all of it." "Now," he swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," I said quietly. His fingers drummed against the table, betraying nerves he couldn't hide. "I just wanted to calm you down. You've been stressed, on edge." I thought, "Something to help you sleep?" My breath caught. "Sleep?" He winced. "It was only supposed to make you drowsy." "Just for a little while, I didn't mean—" "Stop." My voice cut through his excuses. "You put something in my drink without telling me. Do you understand how serious that is?" He looked away, shame pulling his expression downward. "I made a mistake." "Why?" I demanded. His silence answered more than words ever could. Something inside me cracked, a thin fracture running through the foundation of trust I once believed was unbreakable. I sat down slowly, steadier than I felt. "What were you planning to do while I was asleep?" He flinched. "Nothing, I swear, nothing bad. I just thought, if you rested, we could talk easier tomorrow. You've been so distant, and I didn't know how to reach you anymore." The explanation was desperate, thin. A cover thrown over something deeper. "If you wanted to talk," I said, "you should have talked. Not drugged me." He buried his face in his hands. "I panicked, okay? I messed up." "I know I did, but I wasn't trying to hurt you." "Then what are you hiding?" I whispered. His shoulders rose and fell with a shaky breath. He didn't speak. But in that quiet, memories began piecing themselves together in my mind. Moments I had brushed aside, moments I had forgiven without understanding. The late-night phone calls he'd take outside, the receipts tucked in his car for places I'd never been, the nervous way he shut his laptop the moment I entered the room, the sudden, excessive affection after nights he came home late, and the perfume, that floral, expensive scent that didn't belong to me. My voice trembled. "Who is she?" His head snapped up. "No one. Don't lie to me now." "Not after this?" I gestured to the glass. He stared at it like it might explode. "She doesn't matter, it's over." A hollow laugh escaped me. "So there is someone." He didn't deny it. The room tilted slightly, not physically, but emotionally, the way the world shifts when a truth too heavy to hold finally lands on your chest. "How long?" I asked. His lips parted, then closed. Shame coated his voice. "A few months." The final nail. A few months, exactly when he had changed. When we had changed, I pressed my palm to my forehead, suddenly feeling sick. "So let me understand. You cheat on me for months, and then tonight you try to drug me?" His face crumpled. "I didn't drug you. It wasn't like that. It was just something mild, something to help you relax so we could talk." "I wanted to end things cleanly, but you've been so emotional lately, My breath hitched. "End things?" I repeated slowly. He froze. "You were planning to leave me," I said, the words tasting like betrayal. His silence confirmed everything. A cold wave washed over me. "So you thought drugging me would make it easier for you?" "Easier for your guilt?" "No, it wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" I demanded, tears burning in my eyes but refusing to fall. "Explain it to me, because right now, I can't understand how the man who vowed to protect me would pour something into my glass to make me vulnerable." He reached across the table as if to take my hand. I pulled mine away. He exhaled shakily. "I didn't want to fight tonight, that's all. I thought if you slept, I'd have time to pack. And tomorrow—" A sound escaped me, part fury, part heartbreak. "Tomorrow you'd leave?" He nodded, eyes glistening. "I can't do this anymore. I'm not happy." His confession didn't just sting, it sank deep, piercing something sacred. "You planned my birthday," I whispered. "Set this table, poured this wine, all while preparing to walk out of my life." His lip quivered. I didn't know how else to do it. "I didn't want to hurt you more than necessary." "More than necessary?" I echoed softly. That was the moment something inside me snapped, not loudly but quietly, decisively. A thread that once tied us together finally gave way. "Look at me," I said. He hesitated, then lifted his gaze. I met his eyes, searching for the man I once loved, the man who once held my heart like a fragile treasure. But he was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Someone who made choices out of fear, weakness, and betrayal. "You didn't just hurt me," I said slowly. "You broke something you can never fix again." He opened his mouth but closed it again, unable to form words. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, echoing the storm inside me. The night wasn't over, and the truth, sharp, painful, relentless, was only beginning to unravel. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The candles hissed softly, melting into uneven pools of wax, shadows flickering across the walls like restless spirits. The birthday decorations that once felt warm and thoughtful now hung like props in a scene staged for a lie. He stared at his hands, elbows resting on the table, shoulders hunched beneath the weight of the truth he had been trying so desperately to hide. I watched him with a numbness that didn't feel like shock anymore, only clarity. "Tell me everything," I said. He inhaled sharply, glancing at me as though I had asked him to confess to something far darker than infidelity. Maybe I had. He rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my gaze. "Where do you want me to start?" "Start with the glass," I said coldly. "What exactly was in it?" His expression tightened. Just something mild." "A sleep aid. Which one?" He hesitated. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me," I snapped. He closed his eyes, breathing slowly. "Diphenhydramine, just a little." A chill crawled up my spine. "An antihistamine? You put that in my wine. I thought it would help you relax. Stop lying." His eyes snapped open. I leaned forward, voice low and sharp. "You didn't give me something to relax. You gave me something to knock me out." There it was, the truth landing between us like a dropped weapon. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off again. "Why?" His face contorted, fear, shame, regret, all tangled in a single grimace. "I thought, if you were asleep, it would be easier. I could pack without you watching, and then tomorrow, I'd explain everything calmly." I didn't want the confrontation. I stared at him, stunned. "You were trying to disappear." He nodded weakly. "Without saying goodbye," I whispered. He didn't deny it. Something icy settled inside my chest. "And you thought drugging your wife was the cleanest way to leave her?" He winced. "It sounds bad when you say it like that." "Because it is bad," I said, my voice trembling. "It's more than bad, it's cruel. It's dangerous. What if I'd had a reaction? What if I mixed it with something else? What if—" He slammed his palm on the table. "I wasn't thinking straight." "Clearly," I shot back. He slammed his palm on the table. "I wasn't thinking straight." "Clearly," I shot back. He dropped his head into his hands, shaking it slowly. "I know I screwed up, I know. But I didn't want it to get ugly." I let out a hollow, disbelieving laugh. "You drugged me so it wouldn't get ugly?" He pressed his eyes shut. I panicked. "No," I said softly. "You planned." His eyes flickered open. I gestured around us, the table, the decorations, the playlist, the wine. "You planned all of this to look like a perfect evening, so you could do something unforgivable behind the illusion of celebration." He sat frozen, unable to counter because he knew I was right. I continued, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "If I hadn't smelled something off? If I had just taken a sip?" He swallowed hard. "You would have let me fall asleep," I said. "You would have walked out while I was unconscious." His jaw clenched. "I didn't want to see your face when I told you." I couldn't. He looked down, eyes wet. I couldn't handle the guilt. I shook my head slowly. "So you tried to avoid pain by causing me more." He reached across the table again, too fast, too desperate.
"I'm sorry, I'm so damn sorry."
"I know you don't believe it." "You're right," I said. "I don't." His arm dropped. I took a deep breath, gathering strength I didn't know I had. "What about her?" His voice cracked. "It's over." "When did you end it?" "Tonight," he admitted. My chest tightened. Tonight? As in before you came home? He nodded. I stared at him. So you broke up with her? And then came home planning to walk out on me? His silence was answer enough. Why did you end it? I asked. He hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. She ended it, I said, realization cold and sharp. His shoulders sagged. She said she didn't want to hurt anyone anymore. She said I should fix things with you. Fix things? I echoed. By drugging me, packing your bags, and running away before sunrise? He buried his face again. I messed up. No, I said, pushing my chair back and standing slowly. You betrayed me. He looked up at me, eyes pleading. Please. Just listen. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I whispered. You hurt me long before tonight. The truth settled over him like a heavy shroud. His eyes glistened, his breath shaky. But something in me was beyond reaching now, beyond heartbreak, beyond repair. I walked to the kitchen counter, grabbing my phone, gripping it tightly. What are you doing? He asked, his voice panicked. Calling someone, I said. Anyone. Because I don't trust you to be in this house with me alone right now. He stood abruptly. Wait, please, don't. Sit down, I said sharply. And for the first time that night, he obeyed without hesitation. I turned toward him, my voice steady and cold. You wanted things to be easier for yourself. But the truth is, the moment you poured something into that glass, you made sure nothing would ever be easy again. He lowered his gaze, trembling. The secret's out, I said, uncorked. And it's not going back in the bottle. His breath hitched. There was no going back. Not tonight, not ever. The house was no longer quiet. It breathed with tension, with fear, with the heavy pulse of everything that had been said and everything that could no longer be taken back. My phone felt like an anchor in my hand, solid, grounding, a lifeline in a night that had slipped so violently out of the familiar. My husband watched me with haunted eyes, as though he was seeing the consequences of his choices assemble around him like ghosts. He opened his mouth once, twice, but no words came out. Maybe there weren't any left. I didn't call anyone, at least not yet. I only held the phone, keeping my voice steady as I said, Don't move. Not one step. He sank slowly back into his chair. I'm not going to hurt you, he whispered. You already did, I replied. The candles guttered again. Wax dripped in uneven trails, like teardrops down the sides of the holders. My birthday cake sat forgotten at the far end of the table, a tiny sparkler having fizzled out long before the truth ignited between us. What now? He asked eventually, voice bare and trembling. Now? I repeated, my voice steady in a way that surprised even me. Now you tell me the rest, because I know there's more. He swallowed hard. There's nothing else. Lie again, I warned softly, and this conversation ends with a police officer on our doorstep. His face went pale. For several long moments, the only sound was the whispering crackle of the candles. Then finally, like a floodgate buckling under pressure, he spoke. I didn't mean to fall out of love with you, he said, his voice barely audible. I tried to hide it, from myself, from you. I thought it was a phase. But then I met her. I inhaled sharply but said nothing. He kept going. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was just conversations at first. Then I started staying later at work. Then, you don't need to paint me the picture, I said sharply. He winced. I just want you to know that I didn't plan to betray you. I didn't wake up one day wanting this. It just happened. And then I didn't know how to stop. You could have told me, I said. And hurt you, he whispered. And this doesn't hurt me? I gestured around us, to the wine, to the table, to the invisible fracture line cutting through the life we had built. He shut his eyes. I'm sorry. I panicked. I didn't know a way out. I stared at him for a long moment, my breathing slow, controlled. There were 1,000 ways out, I said. You just chose the worst one. His head dropped. I sat down, but not because I wanted to, because I needed steadiness for what I was about to do. Look at me, I said. He lifted his eyes. You tried to take away my control tonight, so now the rest of this evening happens on my terms. But before anything else, you will answer this. Was I ever in danger? He shook his head quickly. No, never. I swear to God it was just a sleep aid. And the dose? I pressed. Small, tiny. It wouldn't have hurt you, but it wasn't your right to decide that. My voice cracked on the last word. He lowered his gaze again. I stood and walked to the sink, turning on the faucet and pouring the tainted wine down the drain, watching the deep red swirl away. A fitting metaphor, letting go of something that once tasted like love, now spoiled by deceit. When I turned back to him, he was staring at his hands, shoulders shaking. "Are you crying?" I asked. He laughed, a broken, hollow sound. "Of course I am. I ruined everything." "Yes," I said quietly, "you did." He looked up suddenly, eyes wide and desperate. "But I never wanted to lose you. Even now, I don't." My chest tightened, not from hope, but from the painful clarity of what I needed to do. "You already lost me," I said. He sucked in a breath like the words punched the air from his lungs. I continued, steady and resolute. "The moment you chose deception over honesty, the moment you chose her over us, the moment you poured something into my glass instead of pouring your truth into a conversation, that's when you lost me." He covered his face with both hands, shoulders trembling. For a moment, I just watched him. This man who had once been my safe place, now a stranger shaking in the candlelight. Then I reached for the healthy glass, the one he had unknowingly saved me from by reacting so badly when I asked to switch. I held it up. He looked at me confused. "What are you doing?" he asked. I stared at the deep red liquid. "Making a toast," he swallowed. "To what?" I stepped back, creating distance between us, physical, emotional, permanent. "To revelation," I said, "to clarity. To the truth finally coming out, and to the strength I didn't know I had until tonight." He stared at me, broken. "Is this goodbye?" "Yes," I said softly. I raised the glass. "To loving myself more than the lies I was asked to swallow." I took a slow, deliberate sip. And it tasted nothing like the past. It tasted like freedom. He bowed his head as though the moment itself had defeated him. I set the glass down and walked toward the hallway. He called out softly, "Where are you going?" I paused, hand resting on the doorway. "To pack," I said. "Because if someone has to leave tonight, it's not going to be me who disappears." And with that, I walked away, my steps steady, my heart tremoring but intact, the truth finally uncorked and released into the air. No fear, no hesitation, no turning back. My birthday ended not with a celebration, but with a liberation. And as I stepped into the bedroom, closing the door behind me, I whispered one final toast to myself.